Well, I think we're heading into a very exciting week. We got the 4th of July coming up on Friday, which means we have a short week in terms of the financial markets. We have 4th of July, which I'm sure the President of the United States will be spending a lot of time with patriotic themes this week because he is truly a patriot and somebody who loves patriotic glitz and glamour. And I think also we'll maybe get the big beautiful bill passed this week, which is going to be, very, very good, I think, for the markets. I think the markets are going to like that. They have that behind us. If all that happens this week, it could be a great week in terms of what the markets do. I currently believe that the overall market is poised. We're sitting at all-time highs as of Friday night, and theoretically, we should be heading into some pretty good opportunities next week to go above those all-time highs. Now, I am recording this in advance of the 5 o'clock hour, either the 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock hour on Sunday. I was not able to be available. I'm visiting my brother for his 75th birthday, so I'm not going to be able to give you the pre-market in this particular session. So look it up yourself. But I know the theory is that I don't just give you the pre-market, which you can all see, but then I do give you some commentary, which sometimes has value. I don't know. Maybe it never does, but I think it does. All right, let's go ahead and we'll take a look at let's start with some news. First of all, Sawyer Merritt says this: Tesla has just announced that they are nearing completion of their first LFP cell manufacturing factory in North America, which will reduce reliance on sourcing LFP batteries from China. Elon Musk says batteries are critical to smoothing out the power fluctuations from AI training and grid voltage drops, as even a small change in power causes AI training to fail. We've been talking about that a lot on the channel, that it doesn't matter what your power source is. It can be gas turbines, it can be nuclear, it can be water, waterfalls, anything that you want. It doesn't matter what the power coming in is. Almost all that power is not able to react quickly enough to these spikes and these drops that happen with these big data centers. Well, when you put on a battery, especially a Tesla battery, all of a sudden now you can moderate those huge jumps and those falls, and it really helps to save your product inside the factory. So Jesse Pelton says you can't train AGI without batteries, and he says China knows this. So there you are. Anybody who's paying attention knows this, he says. The limiting factor adds to the story. He says 3 questions answered on Tesla's new LFP cell production lines. Now, this is the one in Sparks, Nevada. This is the one that, they bought I think it's supposed to be 30 or 40 gigawatt hours of capacity. Huge, huge, huge capacity. Some of the information I'm getting right now suggests that this initial production will only be at the 10 gigawatt hour level, which still be a lot of capacity. All right, number 1, will this factory use a dry or wet coating process? Several images indicate a wet coating process, especially it shows lots and lots of these slow drying ovens. Now that was expected, and there's 2 reasons why the wet process is going to be happening in his view. They likely bought this equipment at low cost from CATL over 18 months ago because CATL had surplus equipment, according to the rumors. Yes, that was true. CATL uses a wet process. And he says Tesla is still struggling to ramp a fully dry 4680 mode, and a wet process would have been easier for the time being. So it's something they might change downstream, but maybe not. This is probably just going to be a very fast, down and dirty facility that's going to give them lots and lots of batteries, in particular for their Megapacks. A bonus third point might be that intermittent coating is required for prismatic cells, and a dry process can't do that. He says he's going to look deeper into that. He says, will the line produce 4680s or prismatic cells? He thinks it's prismatic because, again, it's CATL. Tesla implied these cells will be used for grid storage. Prismatic works better for grid storage. Again, this equipment was likely purchased from CATL. I agree with him. Some people might point to a circular winding that can be seen at 28 seconds in the video that he put up there. You can look at that on X, but that might just be to wind and transfer some material for one of the process steps. When will this facility hit production scale? It's probably going to take 1 to 2 years to hit volume production, and the rumor is that the initial production capacity, you see, he agrees with me, 10 gigawatt hours. That is pretty small by Tesla standards, but a very meaningful first investment. Over time, I expect Tesla to massively grow their in-house LFP prismatic cell production and possibly roll in some of their learnings from the Drive 4680 production lines in Austin. I also saw another headline that said that Tesla has some patents that they're using on LFP, which might get their cost for LFP in the United States to under the price that they're paying in China. And that'd be quite something. Again, with their own all their own capacity, so you save money just by being vertical. All right, we've got the Wednesday numbers coming. That's going to be one of the big things we're going to be looking at this week, and I can barely see this, so I have to kind of look up here close. In case you're paying any attention to what the numbers might be, this is, I'm not going to be able to tell you who came up with this, darn it, but somebody has accumulated a bunch of different numbers from a whole bunch of different sources, and the average total is 385,000 deliveries. The median is 382. Standard deviation is 28,000. And there's 29 different companies that are putting, or companies or individuals who are putting their numbers into this analysis. For the year right now, we're looking at the best guess, that can't be, 1.64 million. Currently is what everybody's looking at for this year, 1.64 million. I think we'll beat that number, but that's just me. All right. But what about the deployed numbers for energy storage? This could be something that would help a little bit if these numbers turn out to be a lot less than the street is expecting. Well, the maximum for Lathrop would be 10 gigawatt hours. The maximum for Powerwalls would be about 2.5, and the maximum for this stage of the ramp for Shanghai might also be around 2.5. So we could possibly hit a number as high as 15. And because of fluctuations that we've talked about forever and ever now with regard to how things get counted, when they get counted, et cetera, bookkeeping wise, you could have a shock on the upside and it could be over 15. Or we could ship more out of Shanghai than expected. It'd be over 15. But I'm going to take the unders. I'm going to say that so far, generally speaking, it usually comes in a little lower than I'm expecting. So I'm going for 12.5. It's about 3 billion in sales. And I would say that that will make the street happy. I think that will be a positive number and kind of another one of those things where it's kind of unexpected, not unexpected if people are paying attention, but they don't. They're paying attention to the car numbers, not to the Megapack numbers. All right. What will move Tesla stock towards all-time highs after we get those numbers on Wednesday? Because, we got to get all the way to all-time highs by the following Monday. And we, after Wednesday, we'll probably still have a reaction to these lousy numbers on Thursday. So that'll only give me one day to go from, 320 to 488. It's not going to happen. What? You don't think so? I see. Anyway, one of the things I think, let me know in the comments below, which one or more of these do you think might be the trigger? Because I'm looking at it like a trigger at this point. Maybe it's going to take longer than I said. Apparently, it's going to take longer than I said. But if it is, it's still going to get there. What is going to be the trigger? What's going to cause people to finally go, oh my gosh, this is really happening, and we better get on board? What's going to be that catalyst, that special day? Well, number one, would removing the safety rider at all, would that be enough? Just taking the safety rider out and would that help? Is it worth 10 points? Number two, how about increasing the geofence area? If they just move it across the river and have the same size as Waymo, what if they go to the entire Austin complex area? That's probably not going to be for at least a month, but if they go that big and it's going to have lots of suburbs and maybe get on the freeways and stuff, maybe go to the airport, would that kind of a thing, would that be the day? What about if they add a lot more cars? If they get to 100 cars, up 200 cars, 500 cars, what's the number? So if they were like 250 cars and the entire neighborhood, and they were allowing people to ride in them, just the average citizens out there, and there wasn't a safety rider, I mean, would that be the day? Would that be the time that finally people, okay, they get it? What about that they just day after day after day after day, they just don't have any serious incidents? What if that continues for another week and then another week? Is there a day when the fact they haven't had anything happen that was significant, finally people go, oh, is that possibly? How about a detailed statement about the overall activity? How many miles, how many cars, how many mishaps, if there was any accidents, how many accidents, whether there's how many remote people are working behind the scenes to make sure that the cars are doing well. What if we got that kind of information? Would that be kind of maybe Elon would sit down with me? Of course, he would call me and say, Randy, I'm ready to do that interview. Let's only talk about Robotaxi Austin. And he answered all those questions and more. Could that be the breakthrough day? How about a Model Q reveal? I know that has nothing to do with the rest, but with the Model Q reveal, get us back going up. Gary Black thinks so. Gary Black thinks so, at least if it's a different form factor. And then what about, how about the new FSD release? I mean, they're using a new FSD on this car. We know that now for a fact. What about that release coming out for all of us? Would that be a big deal? What is going to do it? Let me know in the comments. I want to know what you think. All right, here's what's happening over this week. It is a lot of stuff packed into a few days. And in fact, almost all of it's on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays, because on Monday, all we've got is the Chicago Business Barometer. So it's a purchasing manager's index. It is a survey. It's not really hard numbers. Anyway, it was at 40.5 last month. They're thinking it's going up to 43. That would be a very nice pop. So let's hope that happens. That would be good news. Then on Tuesday, we have more PMIs. We've got the S&P final manufacturing PMI. It was at 52 on the last iteration. We'll see if it stays there. They're not making a guess on that one. Then we have construction spending, dropped 0.4% last month. They're saying it's going to drop another 0.1 now, and that could be true because who is not spending more money on construction? Who was spending a lot more money the last 2 years on construction? Oh yeah, the U.S. government. So this could be hurting the construction spending. We've got job openings. It was 7.4 million last month. They're thinking it's only going to drop to 7.3. That, by the way, that is still an extremely strong number of job openings. It's very, very huge. And then we've got the ISM Manufacturing Index. That is going to come out. Last month it was 48.5. They're thinking that's going to pop up a little tiny bit to 48.6. Any increase in manufacturing is a positive. And of course, all week long, we'll be having not just Tesla's numbers in terms of their unit sales, but everybody else will be reporting their unit sales for the quarter. All right, on Wednesday, ADP employment. That comes out. Last month, it was only 37,000. This month, people are predicting it'll be 120,000, and that would be a solid number. Then on Thursday, we kept everything about employment, everything else about employment. We get the regular initial jobless claims, and last month that dropped down to, last week rather, that dropped down to 236 from, I think, 248. They're thinking it's going to go back up in between there at 240. As I always say, and I'll say it again, I don't think they have a clue. I don't know how they get their number or why they guess, because they're never anywhere close. Then we have the employment report. Well, last month, employment went up 139,000, which was a very nice number. They're thinking it's only going to go up 115,000 this particular month. And that would be a little bit soft, but not horrible. It wouldn't be. Again, remember, we've stopped letting immigrants into the country. We're sending immigrants back home, illegal ones. And we're not adding to government, which last year we were adding lots and lots of government employees. And so we're letting people go from the government. So if we can keep these numbers up above 100,000, like 115, 120, 130,000, I think that would be fine. That would suggest the economy is doing just fine. Thank you. Here they're saying that if that happens, they're also estimating that the unemployment rate will go from 4.2 to 4.3, which Chairman Powell will tell you is still a fine number. 4.3 is still in the full employment range. U.S. hourly wages went up 0.4% last month, which is very, very strong, but around where they've been. The people that are guessing think it's only going to be 0.3 this month. That is still above what the Fed wants it to be, but a lot closer. I'd say that the Fed would be okay with that number. And then hourly wages year over year, 3.9 last month, 3.9 this month is the estimate. And again, that would be okay with the Fed, maybe a little strong, but really, really good for the working folks, which is what Mr. Trump is bringing to the working folks. And I hope they're enjoying. We have 1.7% increase in real wages in the first 5 months of Trump. Nothing like that is ever. That's the highest percentage jump in such a short period ever, according to some of the sources I'm reading. We have the U.S. trade deficit number coming out on Thursday. That will be a very interesting number to see how that is being, what's happening with that, given what's taking place with all the tariffs and whatnot. Then we get the S&P final U.S. services PMI on Thursday. Last month, that was a 53.7. That's a good, strong number. They're not guessing on that one. I heard that there might be a little softness in services, so might be down a bit. We'll see. Factory orders last month dropped 3.7, and this one is crazy if they're right. Don't know where they're getting this number. They're saying that factory orders up 8.2%. Holy mackerel. And then we have the ISM services number also. They're thinking that's actually going to be up from 49.9 to 50.5. Who knows? Maybe they're right. We'll have to see how that works out. All right, so talking to you now, actually producing this on Saturday night, but you're listening to it on Sunday, late afternoon or evening. And later on tonight, I did a video that I think you're really, really going to like. Talked about all kinds of things with regard to ASI and with regard to all kinds of other aspects of what's happening at Tesla right now. So you want to check that out coming up. I'm going to continue. This morning was Phil Beisel, we've talked about Robotaxi, so I'll put that card up. No, I won't be able to do that. There's no way I'm going to be able to put that card up, so never mind. Just to go back and look for it. Phil Beisel was on this morning, so you want to go back and check that as well. Yeah. But when was Phil Beisel on? Yeah, okay. Yeah, this morning. That's what he was on. I'm trying to keep everything straight because I'm doing this stuff in advance. Okay, that's all I got for you right now. As always, it's been great talking to you.